Everybody, I'm Kelly Hogan, and welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. When I say that today's interview is my number one bucket list interview, let me tell you exactly what I mean by that. From the moment I started this channel back in 2020, this was before 2020, this was January before, things got weird. I'd started this channel, and the first thing I wanted to do was interview today's guest. I kid you not, immediately, it's what I wanted. So I have waited 6.5 years for this interview. And I've asked many times. I've been nice. I've pleaded. This is a longtime friend of mine. So it's really 16.5 years in the making. But I only started begging unapologetically 6.5 years ago. Please welcome to the channel, Charlene Anderson. Hey, Charlene.
Hi, you've started me crying already. Dang it, Kelly, I wasn't ready for that.
Let me just quickly tell why personally you have meant so much to me. And that is because when I first joined in at Zeroing Out on Health, and that was the big forum, for those of you who haven't heard me mention it a million times, it was the forum where I first found people who were doing carnivore. And I had been going at it on my own, as had Charlene, before she found this group. And I didn't know there were other people doing it, and it was hard. And then I found these people. Well, one of my main reasons for wanting to start carnivore at that point was I wanted to have a baby. And I was not having a cycle. My body wasn't healthy, even though I'd already cut out almost all carbs and some things had gotten better. I was not having a period at all. And then when I did finally get pregnant, I became very nervous because almost everyone in my life said, oh, well, you'll have to stop this carnivore thing now, right? And I didn't want to stop this carnivore thing because I felt very good. But I did not know one single person in my life who had ever even done a low carb pregnancy. I had never even heard the word keto, so I certainly didn't know of a keto pregnancy. And I had not known a carnivore who had carried and birthed babies until I heard the name Charlene Anderson. And you and Joe were at the forum from the get-go, but I didn't really know that part of your story until it was time for me to have a baby. And they were like, oh, Charlene has done it twice. I can't even tell you what a relief that was. And I would tell my doctor, my husband, my family, I said, oh, yeah, I know somebody who's already done this twice. So, Charlene, thank you for that. You gave me not only a story to tell other people, but a lot of peace of mind myself, so that I too was able to just stick with animal products for 3 pregnancies. No regrets there. But I'm going to turn the mic over to you and ask, what were your health struggles in the first place? Why did you go carnivore?
Yeah. Well, I really had no choice. It started when I was born, and my parents wanted to get me off of breast milk by 3 months. So they started me on formulas at 3 weeks, and I responded to every one of them poorly. Mm-hmm. So they kept me on one that was the least damaging, I guess. So I didn't start off great. I mean, it wasn't as bad as some babies, but I had that. And then at 4, I had a pretty scary asthma attack at nursery school when I jumped into some leaves. And so they called my mom, and she picked me up, and we went through all the allergy tests. And I was sensitive to everything. And I had asthma. And so I was on shots, and I always had a lot of medications and sprays and drops and all that stuff. Yeah. Horrible. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. This is one of the things that got me probably the most, and it may seem ridiculous to people, but when I was in 2nd grade, I was sitting in story time, and I had like a sore on my eyelid. And so I pulled my eyelashes right where that sore was, and they all came out. And it kind of startled me. I didn't know what to think about that. But then that it felt good to pull those out, and that urge to pull spread. So it spread that eye and eyelid, and then the other eye, and then my eyebrows. And by the time that day was over, I pulled out every single one, and that started trichotillomania. my parents thought it was just a bad habit that I had to break. And I dealt with that all the way through school, middle school, high school, college, and into working. That was like one of the worst things. I didn't always have nothing, but at times I would have nothing.
When you say
And
have nothing, like no hair.
eyelashes or eyebrows.
Okay.
Okay, so fast forward, age 12, I started my cycles then, and almost immediately developed cystic acne. So you guys know pretty much what that is. It's really painful and it's really ugly. And I picked and squeezed and all that stuff you're not supposed to do. And I was put on tetracycline, and I also had Retin-A that I used. And so I also developed lower back pain at that point. I developed fatigue at that point. I was always hungry. I didn't know how I'd get from one meal to the next, and I would tend to snack, especially if I was home. And I'd always go to sleep when I'd get home. I was tired. I should also say that my grandpa was a doctor, so we had a lot of medications on hand. We had a closet full of them, especially antibiotics. So I used a lot of antibiotics. A lot of times they were given to me just for preventative purposes, which I just don't think that's a good idea. But so that's part of also my base growing up is a lot of antibiotic use, a lot of medications and stuff like that. Okay, so I got through high school, went on to college, and I studied art. I loved art, and I studied math. I was going to major in math, but I minored in math. And so, but as soon as I started college, things really went downhill. I began having amenorrhea, which is lack of cycles. It really just kicked in when I decided I wanted to lose some weight. I wasn't happy with how I looked. My body fat was too high. My muscle mass was too low. I thought, well, everybody, all these girls look great. I want to look better. At least come on, I can do something. And so, of course, I went to the library, and the only books I would see is the low calorie, low fat books, counting calories, all this stuff. And so I did it, and I lost weight, but I lost my cycles immediately. And so that started. And then also my fatigue became so bad. I would fall asleep in class all the time. I would take naps all the time in the dorm. I would go to sleep early. But what I remember as well is this is when that black curtain fell over me of depression. I felt so disconnected to everything. I didn't care about anything anymore. It felt like I wasn't living in my body, like I was living in somebody else's body looking onto some life. It was very, very uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. But again, I was on a low fat diet. Everything was kind of going downhill. I didn't know what to think about anything. But I got through college, and then I worked at this great place, Navistar. They engineer and design international brand trucks. With that came a lot of stress and a lot of chemical exposure to paint and to the clay models, which were life-size clay models of the trucks that were being designed. I was like just a few feet away from my desk. I mean, it was always kind of smelled like melted clay. And I don't know if that's toxic or not. I don't know. But just that combination, stress and chemicals, I really, my rashes, eczema was getting worse. Fatigue was getting worse. Back was getting worse. Depression was getting worse. This is around when I met Joe. So he was getting to know me as I was failing health-wise. But he was always into health, fitness, family, rockabilly. He was a upright bass player in a rockabilly band. He stole the show. I mean, he's just amazing. And we hit it off. But we were in this together to figure this thing out. And it was not easy. It was not easy at all. So I tried doctors and I tried things. Before our wedding, I went on the birth control pill, and I went back on tetracycline because I had acne. I didn't want acne. It kind of worked before, sort of. I thought maybe I'll give that a shot.
Yeah.
Oh man, I had horrible vertigo. My poop turned green. I mean, not like that's huge, but I mean, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And but I started binging. I had always overeaten, and my hunger was always more than it should have been. But I started binging, and then toward the end, I started purging. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what my dad had been concerned that I was doing the whole time when I had lost weight earlier. I said, Dad, no, I haven't. I promise you, I haven't done that. But now I have. And it's like, all that confidence of anything goes out the window because you think, oh my gosh, I'm seeing a cycle here. I can't believe I'm doing this. But I just continue to have problems. So we got married. It was okay. I mean, even with all that adrenaline, I was so tired. I was the first to leave the reception. I wanted to go home. And we knew we had to do something. Joe, we had already known that a low carb diet seemed to help some things.
Yeah.
Some things got better. Allergies got better, some things. But Joe also knew that a zero carbohydrate, an all meat diet had been used by people. And for some reason, it sounded right. I mean, don't ask me how, but it sounded right. To him, way back in the day when he heard about like Vince Granda, and he heard about like Marilyn Monroe going on a steak, egg, and coffee diet, something like that, to prepare for a movie. But a lot of athletes, a lot of people that had to perform at their optimum were using that. And so he knew this. And we just didn't know okay, if they're using this to be optimal, let's try it. I mean, all these reactions to all these foods, it's like, let's just go meat.
Yeah.
And so it was right around our wedding. So it was August 1998 that we said, all right, we got to do it. And I don't think I even told Joe that I was purging. I told him later.
Yeah.
So, so we started to experiment. I still was developing more problems, though. It wasn't good enough. I had a really, really bad lower back that was getting worse. So I went in for an MRI, and it's degenerative disc disease. So I had that. And then we tested. We found this was the worst. Other than the trichotillomania is when I went to an allergist again, hoping to maybe get some relief, got the allergy shots. Within 24 hours, I would have paralyzation every single time. And so I would call the office and I'd say, this is what happens within 24 hours. Nothing else changes. And they said, oh no, it couldn't be the shot. We keep you there for 20 minutes for an allergic reaction. I said, yes, I understand that. And I know why you do that. But this doesn't happen till later, but it's every single time. And they wouldn't listen to me. They said, no, it couldn't be the shot. So I said, fine, I'll do it a couple more times. And I did. And every single time, my fingertips and my toes would become paralyzed. And they would work up my limbs. And once it got to my core, I was out. I mean, I was paralyzed. I could barely reach the phone to call Joe to come get me from work or wherever we were. I had to be carried out. So I said, enough of that. I don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
And so they stopped. But the only thing is then, now my system is used to that. And so when my body would become overwhelmed with anything, like a bad test, like if we tried a food and it didn't go well, I would start to get paralyzed. It would start with my fingers and toes and work its way up. Sometimes it would stop before it got to my core, but a lot of times it would go all the way to my core and I'm done. I'm out.
Wow.
So that was very, very difficult. But we kept experimenting. And we finally found out that we cannot use medicine. And I tried supplements and they worked for a little while and then they didn't work. I tried homeopathics. Those did not work. We did find an alternative MD and she tested me for Lyme disease and found with the ELISA test and then the Western blot, yes, we're dealing with Lyme disease, chronic Lyme disease. And so it's like, okay, we've got a diagnosis. It's something to focus on. So then we just were guinea pigs. And that's all I can say is we were guinea pigs. We tried everything. We knew it was about the animal world. We would occasionally try something again. We were never beyond thinking, retest, or, well, this is different now. Let's test it again. Nope, didn't work. So our journal stack became bigger and bigger, and our failure trophies were stacking up. Every time we failed, it was hard. I wanted to give up so many times, Kelly. I was so mad because I couldn't feel the truth in it. I could not feel things were going to get better. Joe did. I did not. And so many times I wanted to give up because I just felt like a big failure. I felt like a big burden. I didn't know how to have a life, but we kept experimenting and we kept going. And then my periods started returning. When I gave myself enough food, enough animal fat, it was what I remember, a couple dozen egg yolks like day after day.
Yeah.
I literally must have ovulated within a day or two of doing that. And then 2 weeks later, I had a period and literally never stopped. Had 2 easy pregnancies, no problem. Oops, pregnancies, Had them at home, one with a midwife, one unassisted. Not that I'm suggesting unassisted, but that's just how it worked. Nursed them, no problems, no complications, nothing. So that reversed. The trichotillomania, that reversed pretty much when I said, yeah, no more vegetation, obviously no grains, but I had to give up like ground meats, did not work well for me. That kept that tendency of me like feeling a little bit irritated, pulling. The degenerative disc disease as well. So it would be getting rid of carbohydrates. That was huge for that. But I had to be even stricter within the animal world, getting rid of things that were high bacteria. So ground meat and cheeses have like a mold content. And so I had to give up some of those things. And trust me, we didn't draw any line when we learned something. Okay, it's like we learned it, but then we'd often retry it, or we would come across a different method of cooking or buying or whatever, or raw versus pasteurized. You know what I mean? We always tested stuff. And it was easier when we got closer and closer to the answer, because now we weren't testing like 20 things. We were testing more like 1 or 2 things. And then it was easier to tell, okay, did that raw cheese work okay? Did that raw local thing work? What about organ meat? What about fresh versus frozen? All this stuff. So as we went, everything reversed. The Lyme disease took a long time for me to feel like the issues that the deep bone deep fatigue, the depression, the darkness that comes with that. And I kind of associate the paralyzation with that. That took a while. I mean, that we were like 6 years in before we realized red meat only.
Okay.
We had to figure that out. Red meat only. And it didn't stop there. So pemmican was like the best thing I could put in my body. That was the dried red meat mixed with tallow. At that point, that was the best.
Mm-hmm.
So we were on pemmican for about 4 years. And then that's around when we joined Zeroing In on Health. So around 2009, I believe, is when we joined Zeroing In on Health.
Me too.
Or 2008, 2009. It's hard to remember exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Joe was more into that stuff. I was just trying to still survive. And then the kids were, young and all that stuff. So I had other things I was focused on. He was the main guy on Zeroing In on Health and anything like that. So.
Yeah, in 2009, when I found Zeroing In on Health, Joe was the one doing most of the posting. And he was the one saying, oh, well, Charlene had 2 carnivore pregnancies. Charlene had this. I was like, oh my gosh. But you and I, we did interact a little bit, but it was mostly I was hearing about you from Joe.
Yeah.
But you were a lifeline to me. So by 2009, you had already been on pemmican for 4 years.
Yeah, right around. Yep. Because
Okay.
around 2004, just before Charlie was born in 2005, Joe is heavily experimenting with pemmican. And trust me, every batch he made, he learned something from, and he tried to experiment more. I mean, it was not this easy. Now we know how to eat.
Yeah.
Nope, it wasn't. Every single detail mattered for me. And I hate that it was like that. I still hate that it's like that. But even like ribeye steak now, we learned about ribeye steak, which is what we've been eating now for since around 2009, 10. I don't know when it was, right around there. The learning curve with just that has been huge. I mean, even a year ago, we changed how we fixed them. And it's like, well, I feel even better now.
Well, tell me about that. What changed a year ago? I don't know that.
Jeez. Well, everything changes. I'm just thinking about the biggest last change was about around 4th of July. And that's when we got our grill, our outdoor grill. We were cooking on an induction burner with an induction pan. Joe had this perfect way of making it with that, but he had to make one steak at a time. And it's like, oh my gosh, we had tried grills before. I couldn't handle gas licking the meat. Okay, so I couldn't have anything open. Also, we tried grills that were cast iron type.
Yes.
And so the metal mattered for me.
Wow.
What it was cooked on mattered. So this Halo grill, it was about $1,000 risk because it was either going to work or it wasn't going to work. And that was our whole life, Kelly, for all these decades is we threw away so much stuff that didn't work. My mom and dad helped us out for so long. I am not proud of how this whole thing has gone at all. But so we got this Halo grill and it's a flat top grill. So it is gas powered. So it does get super hot. And that's what we needed. We needed super hot to sear it. We'd take it from cold fridge to super hot searing, wait a while, flip it. We cook it to about medium well. Awesome crust, huge interior, beautiful pink, hardly any even rainbow. I mean, Joe's perfected making steak. It's an art form. It really is.
Yeah.
So even that Halo grill, I felt better because I wasn't getting quite as much rendered fat. So when you have it in a skillet, you have more rendered fat.
Yeah.
You can get a great temperature. You can get it instant because it's induction. It's awesome. But allowing that rendered fat to just kind of roll off gradually, not horribly. So there's just enough to let it sear and sit in that nice grease, but not to penetrate it. So again, that little bit made a difference. I'm just floored. I will never, ever think we know it all. Ever.
For somebody who's watching now, they might think, well, I wonder why they didn't just immediately think, well, do the lion diet or something where you just eat red meat. Why does it seem obvious to all of us? Because of people like Joe and Charlene. There was no one who had ever coined the phrase lion diet.
No.
There was no Dr. Baker doing carnivore. There were no carnivore diet books, YouTube channels. We're talking in the 90s, right?
But there were doctors that we realized had been doing this with patients for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And we thought, what the heck? Why don't we know about this stuff?
Yes.
Do you know how different, not just my life, but so many people's lives would be if we would have just known about that?
Yes.
If it hadn't been squelched. Why in the world isn't that knowledge? Why in the world doesn't the medical community get that out in the open or at least accept it? I think it's slowly being accepted now because they have to. If they don't, they're going to lose people more and more. It is going to be so obvious that as humans, what we eat is wrong. It has to be a meat-based diet. I believe it's an all-meat diet. I do. I sure want to try to encourage people to try.
Yes.
But that information has been out there. We didn't know about it. We knew about it afterward. It's like, really? I'm so excited to tell my parents because they've never believed in what we've done. And it's like, oh, okay. I'm glad for you guys.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. I'm
I
glad
mean,
that works for you. That's what I've heard. So I'm glad that has worked for you. And you're like, no, it's not
yeah,
just me.
I know.
It's not just me.
Because they think if it's true, everybody would know about it. All doctors would know about it.
Right.
Treating cancer, treating heart disease, all this stuff. People would pay millions and millions of dollars
Yes.
to have that information. I'm sorry, it's true.
Yeah.
I'm
Doctor,
sorry. I'm
doctor.
talking to the choir here, but
Oh, no, I get angry. Look, I had a
no.
conversation with my mother-in-law recently, who type 2 diabetic for 9 years has been on insulin. She knows exactly what I have been through, exactly what I eat. We have obviously spent a lot of time together in my 25 years of marriage. She was diagnosed, her A1C was 14.
Oh no.
Yes,
It's not good.
14, not good.
No, no.
And she asked her doctor on the day of diagnosis about the carnivore diet because she knew what I do. And that doctor told her, do not do that. It is dangerous. He said, you need a minimum of 60 carbs at every meal. She came to me and said, look, I talked to my doctor and he says it is not right for me. Like, no, this is exactly what you need. So now, Charlene, 9 years later, she is still on so much insulin. She is still, I know, and I get so angry. Like, this could have been fixed
Yes.
9 years ago. This is optional. We could have been done with this. So, yeah, I understand why you get so angry.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anger is not the word for it.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's
I know.
way beyond that.
Yeah. And you and I are two of the luckiest because we did find this fairly young, not as young as
Yes.
we wish, but I am meeting people now in groups and at meetups where they're in their 70s and they are just now hearing this. And I'll get people who say, I was treated for diabetes type 2 for 30, 40 years. And now they feel like $1,000,000 and they're off all meds. Like somebody could have saved you decades ago. And you're right, people like Salisbury. And then you've got all of the journals of Stefansson.
Yes.
And like, it's been out there. People knew.
Yeah. I know. But okay, here is the truth. Truth is stronger than anything.
Yeah.
Truth is light. Light wins in the end. I'm sorry. Truth wins in the end, but it takes a long time. A long time.
Yeah.
It will win. I don't know when it's going to win.
Yeah.
Wholly, but it's going to win.
Yeah. Well,
I just have to wait it out, I guess.
Yeah, here we are. We're
Yeah.
still waiting. Well, I bet you feel a big difference now. So maybe let me step back and ask you this so you can explain to everybody. If you've been doing this carnivore thing, experimenting at least in the beginning, and then this total carnivore for 25 plus years, why haven't people heard more from you during that time? I know this, but please tell them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, Esme, who is a lady in Zeroing In on Health, decided to do an interview, and she wanted to ask all the members, which I don't know. What do you think? Around 30, 40? How many members back then? I don't even remember.
I think there were probably over 100, but probably 30 or 40 of us. I think that's about how many of us were really active, or 30 to 40.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we thought, okay, yeah, that'd be interesting. Why not? It's just for a small little group. And so she asked you, and she asked Charles Washington, Dana Spencer Shute, Eleanor Hearn, all these people, all of them. She asked all these questions, and the interviews came out. But because ours was a family of 4 with 2 kids, and we'd been doing it for a long time, you know what? People were not ready for that. So it went viral. So we got calls from Daily Mail. It went everywhere in not good ways. Reality TV shows were calling us. We thought, what the heck? We'd already been through hell. We'd already been through it with all the stuff that we had to deal with, getting well and figuring everything out. We didn't want this now.
Wow.
It's like, you know what? Let's let other people do it. We promised the boys especially when we heard Child Protective Services was threatened on us, and then local people were threatening us, out of town people were threatening us. We thought, you know what? We got to protect ourselves. We've got to go silent. We're not going to go out there and say anything. We promised the boys we wouldn't, not until they're older, if we ever did it. So that was our promise to Charlie and George. Years went by and we kept watching. And we were so happy, Kelly, to watch all these people, Ellen Hearn, Dana Spencer Shute, Charles Washington to a small degree. We wanted the word to get out. Trust me, I wanted our friends and family members to start hearing about this stuff, doctors to start hearing about this stuff, people's lives to change because of this. But it wasn't going to be us. Yeah. We had to let you guys go for it. And you guys did. You guys did. You guys took a blowtorch. We may have started the smallest little spark. You guys took a blowtorch to it. Yeah, so now my boys are 19 and 21, and I just feel like it's time. It's just time. So going to Meat Stock was absolutely amazing. Yes. Meeting you in real life, I just couldn't believe it, Kelly. Same. And I mean, everybody, it was so surreal, and it felt so right. It really did. It felt like, you know what? Joe and I would have fallen on our knees, probably rolled around and cried on the floor too while we're at it, if we would have seen that Meat Stock with all those people. And that's just a small representation of people who are curious about it or do it. Yeah. We literally felt like we were out in the middle of the ocean. Who in the world would believe that you don't need a carbohydrate? Everybody's told, especially vegetables, that they're good. Yes. I mean, we had no idea that zeroing in on health was out there or that it was going to be formed or anything. We really thought we were it. Yeah. So,
coming back into the space now versus when you and I were doing the Esme it was a written interview. You and I were featured in an article together.
That's right.
Remember
Hip
that?
to keto, right?
Hip to keto. Mm-hmm. And these were not good times. No. I was excited to be in an article with you. I was excited to be. I did the Daily Mail thing. I disappeared for a couple of years too. It was awful.
Yes.
Awful.
It wasn't time. People were not ready for it.
No. No, I had someone also say that they were going to report me to child services because I wouldn't let the kids have candy. It was like, okay, the kids are good. The kids are fine. But it's scary. It was scary then. So I got quiet, except in the Facebook groups. Like, I knew I was okay in the carnivore Facebook page. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Coming back now, is it feeling a little different?
Oh, yes. I mean, I know that there's still haters. And what I hate about humankind, is that when they don't understand something, they act with anger. I don't understand that. To me, it feels like, well, what are they eating? Because if you're nutritionally sound, you wouldn't act that way. Yeah. Come on. Humans are not meant to be like that. We are not meant to be at each other, hatred, gossipy, putting people down. That is not what we should be as a human race. You should be a good person just by nature. If you're well nourished, that's what I feel.
Well, it certainly feels a lot easier to be kind and respectful when your brain is not on fire from inflammation, when you're not struggling with your own health and gut health, when you're like a healthy person. I'm with you. I don't care what somebody's eating. I'm not going to be angry or lash out.
No. I think that they're irritated. Yeah. And I get that. I was irritated. I was so irritated. I pulled all my eyelashes and eyebrows out. I was so irritated with, allergies and rashes, and that's my body being irritated. Why wouldn't my brain be irritated? Yeah. Why wouldn't my personality be irritated? Yeah. There's such a calm when you get it right. Yes. There's a calm, but there's also an energy. Like, you have so much energy to express and to create and to enjoy and to live.
Yeah. Yeah. They used to call it the Zero Carb Zen. Yeah. I like that phrase a lot.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
right. It's not a sleepy zen.
Right.
You've got energy and we can get
Yeah.
fired up and passionate,
Yes.
but we're usually pretty cool about it.
Yeah. Yeah. At
I
least we like to think so.
do like to think so. All right, so I'm taking a look at things else I wanted to kind of rapid fire touch on. We covered
Okay.
pregnancy, birth, and nursing. So I get asked that a lot. What do
Yeah.
I do if I become pregnant? And your story plus one thing that Charles Washington said to me then. Well, he asked me when I was first pregnant and debating about, well, my doctor says I shouldn't do this. I was so young and panicky, like, so I heard your story. And then Charles said, well, Kelly, what are you going to be giving birth to? I said, well, it's too soon. I don't know, boy or girl. And he's like, no, no, no. What are you going to birth? I said, like a human? He said, right. That's good. And you are? I said, a human. He said, what makes you think that this little tiny growing human needs something completely different than what you healed with? If it
Yeah.
was so good for you, why not give that to your baby too? I was like, okay, so those two things combined, and it takes courage to stand up to your doctor. I really feel for people who have to do that on a daily basis about their
Oh,
cholesterol and everything. It feels intimidating.
yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, you said that supplements caused a reaction for you.
Yeah.
Are you on any supplements at this point?
No. Okay. Occasionally I'll try something like if something's talked about a lot, iodine, for
Iodine.
instance, the Lugol's. I didn't have a horrible reaction to that, but I didn't notice anything good. And I don't know. I just don't like to take supplements.
I know.
It doesn't ever feel right. But sometimes I'll have a horrible reaction. Like, well, the worst is the paralyzation.
But yeah,
That's the worst. I still will get that if something's real bad. It's like, okay, I'm listening.
yeah,
But rashes, eczema, acne, that's another reaction I can get. Fatigue, brain fog. I don't have that with ribeye,
yeah,
but I can have that with supplements. So I'd rather not do supplements.
yeah,
Some people need supplements, or they use the supplements as like a gateway where they're getting well, and because they've been so undernourished and their system is sluggish, or they're recovering from surgeries or lack of organs or something, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm not against them. I'm not against them. For me, I don't use them. And it's great if you don't have to use them, but if you need to use them, that's another thing though you have to experiment with.
yes,
You know?
yeah.
So
Electrolytes?
I sent you the picture. And I made a video. Oh wow. I tried electrolytes on my way back from the Montana meetup.
Yes.
And I don't want this to be an anti-ad, but just the electrolytes, just unflavored, unsweetened, in a whole bunch of water. Oh wow. I swelled up so bad. But I kind of knew that could happen because salt doesn't really work for me either. I'm not an adding salt type person. So this would have been the salt and the potassium and whatever else is in there. Oh man, yeah, no, I didn't have any creases in my eyelids. My legs felt like they were in casts. I gained like 9 pounds. I mean, it was so bad. It's like, okay, I'm listening. I'm not going to do that again. I could not stop drinking water. I probably drank like, I don't know, 2 gallons of water.
Wow.
And I'm on the plane ride home. And no, I'm not having to go to the bathroom because my body's just retaining it all.
Yeah. Electrolytes
It was
don't work.
bad.
They don't work well for me either. The only brand I can take without having an actual reaction.
Mhm.
Now, I haven't tried a lot of brands to be fair, but Salter, Saltr,
Okay. Right.
doesn't give me leg cramps, and a lot of them will be like instant cramp. So I don't even take their brand regularly because I don't need them. But I had agreed because the guy who makes them was like, they are the cleanest. And to his credit,
They are.
did not react. So
Yeah, that's good.
so you don't even salt your ribeyes on a daily
No,
basis.
I've tried.
Yeah.
And man, sea salt was almost like sugar to me. And I think and the paralyzation type stuff that I talk about, that happens to me when I have sea salt. I
Wow.
think there could be a little bit of marine like bacteria, some aspect. It feels like I'm triggering a bacterial reaction in myself with sea salt. The Redmond's, which is a land salt, is the best that I found. I know there are other land salts. I have not experimented with every single one of them, but I don't look or feel as good when I have salt. So I'd rather not have it. Plus, I love the taste of ribeyes. Every ribeye tastes a little different to me, and I like to taste the difference. I don't know. I don't use it. Again, some people have to have salt in order to digest or whatever. Fine. I'm not against that. For me, I just don't prefer not to have it.
Yeah. My first several months after finding zeroing in on health, I didn't use salt at all because hardly anyone did back then. Because again, we weren't doing lion diet. That's not hadn't been mentioned before. We were just doing carnivore, and salt wasn't from an animal, so we didn't use it. Yeah. Right. Do you ever add organ meats?
We've tried them. We've tried everything.
Okay.
My favorite was brain. But again, it's like I loved it, probably because it's fat heavy,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Some of the organs I love organ meat, but I just don't feel as good with them.
Me neither.
It's like, just like carbs. I mean, I love cooking and I love eating carbs, but I don't. It's not going to go well. I mean, I have a choice. Every day I have a choice. If I want to feel the way I feel now, or if I want to start feeling bad again, because I'm telling you, I don't know if I cured anything. I don't know. But I know that I can control how I feel based on a diet that I choose every day.
Yes.
That's just the way it is. That's brass tacks.
Y'all listening to that? That's really important. That's really important. Every day we wake up, choose
a choice.
Exactly what we're going to eat based on knowing exactly how we're going to feel. Yeah. Okay, what about sardines? You played around with sardines?
Yes, I did actually. Yes, even when we went all red meat diet, we realized that was it. There were times we'd come off and try things. Definitely, with Charlie, that's my first. I'd been pregnant in 2004 and gave birth to him January 2005. So the summer of 2004, I didn't know this whole thing about a sardine fast was coming out later, but I did a sardine fast with egg yolks. And it didn't last long because I had this aversion to red meat for a little while. And I'm not happy that I had that aversion. To me, we hadn't figured enough out yet. And I think that I was healthy, much, much more healthy than I'd ever been, but not to the degree I should have been. And I think that's why that aversion happened, because aversion I don't believe happen. I could be wrong. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but so I did sardines and egg yolks, like soft cooked egg yolks, for a while, maybe a couple weeks. It didn't last long. Also, the last time I ever saw a doctor for anything, I had my blood tested at that point, and I was a little bit anemic. I can't imagine me going on sardines and egg yolks just for a short period of time caused it. And it's hard for me to remember exactly what I ate around that time. I know that I did have still some like local farmers chicken, a little bit of that. I would have had a little bit of non-red meat. And I did notice a little bit of tiredness. So when it showed up as slight anemic, it's like, that kind of makes sense. So she started me, this would be the alternative doctor, the MD that diagnosed me with Lyme disease. She really liked me. I liked her. I worked for her at her office, years later. And so it was cool. But so I trusted her, and that was the last time I had any kind of blood test. But then, when she started me on like a more of a natural iron supplement, I didn't feel well with it. My eczema broke out. I mean, like I had cracks all over my hands. It was just that. So I said, I got to stop this. And then at that point, the aversion was gone. I went back to red meat, and then I did not retest, but I felt better. I don't know. I just always went with my gut instinct.
Yeah.
That's what Joe and I've done all these years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So on a daily basis, you said you only eat ribeyes now, unsalted, medium to medium well. You can use your Halo grill with the flat top.
Yes.
Are
Yeah.
you a 2 meal a day girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For a long time, I was 1 meal a day.
Okay.
We all were.
Mm-hmm.
But it never felt 100% right for me. I often felt a little more cortisol than I wanted. And we always were open to something different. And I can't remember the year that I switched to 2 meals a day. And then we all ate 2 meals a day for a while. But Joe, okay, now I eat twice a day, same with the boys, around 8:30 in the morning and then around 3:34. And then Joe eats by himself at night around 8:30.
Oh,
So he likes 1 meal a day. I like 2 meals a day.
yeah.
If I'm hungry at the end of the day, then I'll have Joe make a little bit more steak at night and then eat a few bites of that. So it's not dogmatic, it's not strict,
Right.
but it's always, always, always following our instinct. We're far enough into this we can do that. If you ask a druggie to follow their instinct, they're going to want more drugs.
Yes.
So you cannot always do that. You have to start with some kind of a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start the plan and you build that base nutrition, then you can start believing in yourself more, which is what we're always meant to do. It just gets better with time, I think. So
Yeah, you become more trustworthy as you become less addicted.
Yeah.
agree with that.
I get rid of those addictions, and man, they do not want to be gotten rid of,
They don't go quietly into the dark
No.
night. Okay, I've never heard you talk a lot about weight or size because that's not
No.
why you got into this at all.
Right.
Do you notice that your weight or size changes based on how much you eat? Do you have to do anything to stay the size that you are now, or that's never been anything you've had to tweak with?
Well, I know when I ate carbs, I really had to be careful with how much I ate. And I could lose weight if I starved myself to like 1,500 calories or something like that. I'm 5'8". So I knew I could do that, but oh man, it was not easy every single day. I mean, every single hour of every single day. That was hard. If I ate just the way I wanted, I was probably 40 pounds heavier than I should be. And even with carnivore, if I wasn't eating what I feel is right for me, I could easily be 40, 50 pounds more, easily. If I ate ground meat, if I ate cheese, if I drank heavy cream or used heavy cream, if I had coffee, if I had, you know what I mean? Like if I was just simply, I'm going to be carnivore, period, just that.
Yeah.
I would be healthier than I would have been with carbs.
Right.
But I would still have inflammation. I'd still have weight. I'd still have edema. I would have inflammatory type symptoms. I know this because I had them, That's why we had to keep narrowing it down. And no, it's not fun sometimes. Although I got to say, when Joe and I would find something that would not work, we would almost throw a party because in some ways it felt so freeing. It's like, okay, if it isn't about poultry, like at all, or foul is foul. Sorry. It's like, it's more freeing. And I felt like less addiction. And whether it's histamine, whether it's bacteria, whether it's yeast, mold, I don't know. It's just for whatever reason, that food doesn't go well for me. And I'm now free. I'm free from whatever that food did to me. And so wrong foods would put weight on me. Yeah. Not horrible. I was never obese or anything like that. I was overweight. Yes, definitely. But I was never obese. And I knew what I ate made the most difference. So with ribeye, I eat around 1.5 to 2 pounds raw, if you weigh it raw.
Yep.
Visually, it's like 1 part white to 3 parts red. That's around 80% fat, 20% protein calories. Because everybody asks me.
Yes.
I had to figure it out because everybody asks me. And then the calorie, not the calories count, but the calorie range is around 1,800 to 2,400. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I'm 5'8", and I'm around 123, 25, 121. It kind
Yeah.
of varies a little bit. So that's what I am.
Very helpful and transparent of you to share all of that. And I appreciate you. Yeah, I was wondering, should I ask how much she eats? I don't always love answering that because, first of
It's
all,
okay.
everybody's going to need a different amount.
Oh,
We're
yes.
different sizes, different ages,
Yes.
different activity levels, but it's still maybe reassuring for someone to hear, or at least really helpful to hear
Yeah.
what you're doing. You're eating
Yep.
beef on a plate, and this is something that I have started. I want to start a campaign in the carnivore community called Beef on a Plate,
I love it.
because you just said you can take electrolytes. They weren't even flavored and you can put on 9 pounds. My
Oh, yeah.
weight, if I were to eat even everything just carnivore that I want to every day,
Mhm.
I could also sit easily at least 20 pounds heavier if I
Right.
was just eating all the cheese and fun carnivore concoctions these days. It's
Yeah.
it's like, where's the meat on a plate?
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef, Charlene? Yes. And I'm like you. I find that I feel my best, look my best when you and I are not chugging protein powders, concoctions, making all. And I know that the recipes are really helpful sometimes to help people
Yeah.
convert. We are not anti-carnivore recipes.
Enjoy.
Yes.
You can get away. Wow.
We
Do
would,
it.
wouldn't we? If we could totally get away with looking and feeling exactly the same while having carnivore lasagna and pizza every night, I'd be doing it if
Yeah.
I could muster the motivation to cook it.
Yeah. Right. I get
Yeah.
it. Oh,
But
here's something interesting. If I eat too much meat, even if it's fatty meat,
mm,
I can have an insulin response. I can
mhm.
feel more hungry.
Yes.
Like I can't just eat and eat and eat and eat ribeye. I've gotten used to how much I need. And then when I up my activity levels or bring in a new activity like skating and stuff
Yeah.
like that, it's like, yeah, I'm going to need to eat a little bit more. Especially when I'm saying those lean meat. Oh man, I could eat lean meat up the wazoo. I could keep eating that
Me too.
and never stop, and it would not satisfy me. So that is not my answer.
Same.
So even if I have fatty meat,
Yes.
I really know that there's a limit of what I need. And yes, it can vary. Absolutely. And I go by that. I will listen to my body with how much I need to eat. Most of the time it's on the upper side of that 1.5 to 2 pounds. But because I am pretty active, but I can't just eat and eat and eat and eat. I think that there's an insulin response when you get a lot of protein. Now, some people,
Mm.
they use protein to handle cravings. Like if they get hungry, they eat some protein. Red meat, they eat some red meat, and then it's squelched.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know if that's the right word. It's satisfied.
Yes.
So it could be a nutritional thing for them. I don't know. But for me, I'm just saying I can't just eat and eat and eat. But if I eat right around what I need, I'm satisfied, I'm nourished, and I've got enough fat, and I'm good to go.
I
Yeah.
am the same. If I just say, you know what, we're at like we went to this really high end, all you can eat restaurant when our family went to Las Vegas.
Mm.
And you want to get your money's worth, right? I
Oh
don't
no.
just eat a lot of meat. Normally I have like you, I know what I need.
Yeah.
Almost like feeding a puppy or a dog, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know what I need twice a day. I eat 3 times a day, actually, but I know what I need at those 3 meals. That night, I ate probably 3 times what I would normally eat. And what's weird is probably an hour and a half to 2 hours after that, I felt like I was starving way more than usual.
Yes.
I'm like you, I know that there are a lot of undereaters out there, but that's never been my issue. But if
Right.
I allow myself also to overeat, it's not just an issue of I don't look as good. You know, I can put on weight too, like anybody else. It's
Yeah.
also an issue of I don't feel as good or as satisfied. And I don't know if I've heard anybody else say that. So, yeah, it's us. If anyone watching has experienced this phenomenon as a carnivore, please post it below. I'd love to hear from some of you. Okay, no sweeteners at all, right?
I mean, yeah, those set me off more than sugar.
Hmm.
Sweeteners are what I was raised on because my mom she knew that sugar wasn't good.
Okay.
And like saccharin and things like that were coming out. You know, I was born in 1973. So I had a lot of sugar-free things. I could never get enough of it.
Same.
And that was the hardest thing for me to give up. Man, was that hard. Oh, wow. Those set me off like sugar never would. I mean, whoa.
It took me 5 years of what was, I call now my 5 years of almost carnivore. So
Yeah.
I was meat and sugar-free products.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
mostly what I was eating. The
But I get it.
hardest 5 years of life. I mean,
Yes.
It was like, oh, I'm nourishing myself. So some things are getting better. I was losing weight and I came off of my acne meds. Things were getting better, but I had no peace, no calm. Like my brain was constantly like, how do I get more of that? Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But it's possible that some people are not us.
Yeah. You have to do you, and I hate that saying. You do you, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right. Baby, I've waited years for this, and you did not disappoint. I am so pleased.
You're just getting started, Kelly.
Well, you know, I feel like we could do a whole series. No joke. I have so many things. I thought, okay, I'll ask as much as I can in about an hour. I've taken down so many notes. I have literally dreamt about having this talk for so many years, and it's an honor, and I appreciate you doing it. Everybody who's watching, you hear that the woman has been through it. She's been through it health-wise, but also from being public in this space in the past. So maybe let her know that we're awfully glad that she came out again and that she should keep it up because people need you. I needed you.
Yeah, well, we got each other, you know, it's great. It's perfect. It's good.
Yeah, you helped me, and I'm glad now that you're able to do that for others as well. Thank you, Charlene. You and I, when we found a group of people, it made the whole thing so much easier. So if any of you are looking for a group of people, we'll put our contact information below. It helps to have someone else to go through this with.
There's no reason not to. Yeah. There's no reason. It's there. Use it. Use us.
We're so excited to be helpful. So yeah, don't sit back and go, gosh, no one I know eats this way. Well, then get to know us because there are tons of us out here who are thriving this way. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Charlene.
All right.
For everybody else, see you back next Saturday. Bye.
Bye.